Hello and welcome to That Is Nice podcast. I am here with Jake. He has been on before. How's it going, Jake?
It's going pretty good.
Going pretty good? All right. So today we're going to be talking about consciousness. So what is consciousness? What causes it? What are the general beliefs about it? And how it applies to machine learning and machines becoming sentient. So we're gonna start first, Jake. What is your general conception? What do you think?
I think
really
consciousness, like, we don't really know what unconsciousness is because we only experience consciousness. You could argue that when you're asleep,
but what is it though? Like, what is like what is like? How would you define consciousness?
Just like knowing that you are alive is consciousness. Knowing you are a thing. Self-awareness.
Yes. Okay. So I agree. Like self-awareness and like you know what you look like.
Yeah. You know you're you.
And you know that like you can be aware. You can think and be aware that you are thinking.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So these are important things. So you can identify yourself. You can be aware of your thoughts. These are things that essentially these are what make up consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with AI, because what I want to do is I kind of want to explain like my belief on what consciousness is, because I kind of have a stance that consciousness is very possible. It's very possible that consciousness is an illusion. It's not what we think it is. So that's my stance. Okay, so I'm just going to read a little thing I wrote. Since AI's only ability right now is that of the ability of our cortex, so logic, do you think genetic networks for the makeup of the brain's limbic system, would that be difficult to achieve?
For an AI?
So genetic networks, it's like it's a computer program that they can go and like 23andMe, what they'll do is they'll put your DNA and they'll get it into a computer program in all of these genetic networks. The genetic networks are essentially a database of what certain combinations of genes do, and it's an algorithm that dictates what they do. Some are weighted. Some of the nodes in that algorithm. I had a grain bar and I have a grain stuck right in my throat. So some of the nodes in that algorithm, what they do is they're weighted. So some have more of an effect than others. That would be a dominant trait versus a recessive trait. So would we be able to because they make them for things like your circulatory system. They'll run small simulations to figure out certain things of how it functions and how your circulatory system will react to certain medicines. They'll run these in computers. It's called they're scientific programmers who do this. So is it possible to make one of those, a genetic network, for the limbic system, do you think?
I mean,
take a look at the limbic system DNA and see how the DNA makes up the limbic system. And this is literally an open-ended question.
I don't see why not. Like, why couldn't you?
Because it's. I mean, the thing is like I think it's difficult, but it is possible. Because like to find how your circulatory system works is pretty straightforward. Because it has a function and it moves blood around, and you can see if the blood getting moved around, if like the vessels constrict, less blood will be able to flow. You can see those results. But for things like the limbic system, how do you test that? Because the limbic system is emotions. It is care. How do you test the results of something on your limbic system?
You show patients things and see how they react.
But that wouldn't be it's called a PET scan. And they've done this. The genetic, it's a simulate. How do you run a simulation to see how something will interact with the limbic system? Is it possible?
I'm a little confused on what you're asking.
So a genetic network, right? Let's just look at it like I'll just simply put what they're used for is, say, a doctor or say some researcher develops a new drug, right?
Okay.
And they want to see how it impacts certain samples of people, but they don't have enough confidence to go and test it on actual people yet. They'll run it through a simulation, and that simulation is connected to a database of a bunch of DNA from people. And from that DNA, they can use that as data.
So it's a simulated human, to put it like in simple terms.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, your simulated system.
Yeah, it's more of a specific system at a time. Not a human entirely. Yeah, it'll be like either like your respiratory system or your circulatory system, not a human.
But your nervous system obviously is more complex, so you can really test that.
The nervous system is more complex. They can test the nervous system.
Your brain's your nervous system.
Right, but the nervous system though is like a bunch of wires. It's like a conductor.
But your brain is technically part of your nervous system in your eyes.
Your brain's part of your neural network, which
is part of your nervous system.
Which controls your nervous system. That gives orders to your nervous system. Your nervous system is like a copper wire that carries electricity.
Back on track though.
Yeah.
A genetic what's the word? Genetic what? System?
Network.
Genetic network is just a simulated network of the human body. So circulatory system.
It's of their DNA and RNA. It composes of DNA and RNA. Yeah. So.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm just gonna move forward in this. Okay. So, is it possible do you think that genetic networks for the makeup of the brain's limbic system is difficult to achieve? Because the limbic system, this is like the beginning of my point here about about consciousness. Because the limbic system is what makes us irrational, and to some degree, sentience is irrationality. When combined with memory, in simpler terms, self-awareness is emotion combined with memory. That's self-awareness. An example: being able to recognize yourself because you remember what you look like, or being aware that you're thinking because you remember what you just thought.
Can I bring something up?
Yes.
I'm going to kind of debunk that. So there has to be more to it, because in order to remember what you look like, you got to know that what you're looking at is you. And to know that, you have to have a self-awareness. So it can't just be memory and emotion, or else
you have to know what you're looking at is you.
Yeah, and you won't know if it's looking at it's you if you don't have self-awareness already. Even if you're looking in a mirror, which is why a dog can't recognize itself in the mirror.
But would that be more of like a logical process to say, I'm looking in the mirror, there's nobody else in this room, I see a reflection, that reflection's me. It's more of a logical process. It's more of a logical conclusion. Because it couldn't be anybody else, because there's nobody else. Mirrors reflect, and you see somebody in the mirror. Therefore, how do you not assume it's you?
Sorry, I got a call on Discord for a sec. You're going to have to repeat like the last 10 seconds of that.
Okay, so you
look in the mirror, and you're saying it's a logical process.
And you're saying it's self-awareness. Yeah. I'm saying you come to that conclusion. You achieve self-awareness via critical thinking, because there's nobody, mirrors reflect, right? And you know that there's nobody else standing anywhere near you, not even in the same house next to that mirror. And you see a reflection in the mirror. You're the only one standing by the mirror. Therefore,
but there's a lot of things you have to be able to
conclude that's you.
There's a lot of things you have to be able to grasp to even come to that conclusion.
Okay.
Like, you have to be able to understand that that's a reflection. There's a lot of things you have to be able to understand.
Yeah, but a reflection is not self-awareness. That's literally that's thinking. That's just critical thinking.
You have to understand there's other people that also have emotions and things like that, which like.
But we're talking about the self-awareness and like recognizing yourself right now.
Yeah, but you're saying it's memory and emotion. But if that were the case,
Yeah.
every living creature on Earth would have a self-awareness, which isn't true.
I'm saying consciousness is a combination of emotion and memory. It's a combination.
I think it's more. That's what I think.
I think it's more too. But I think that's the fundamental of it.
I disagree because every single living thing, every single mammal, I want to say, has emotion and memory. And not every single mammal is
conscious.
They're not aware. I wouldn't say every animal is aware they're conscious.
They're not aware they're conscious.
Like I wouldn't say a dog knows that it's alive.
Okay, so you think knowing it's okay. Nobody.
I think humans are the only animals that like know, like to the level that we do about like being alive. Like we know we're alive.
So if a dog doesn't know they're alive, then why does a dog defend itself? Why does a wolf in nature defend itself if something attacks it? Is that because it doesn't want to get hurt, or is that because it wants to continue living and passing its genes?
But it's not actively thinking that, you know?
Nobody is.
Exactly, nobody is.
Neither are
like in a survival
me.
situation, you're not actively thinking that. You just know you don't want whatever that thing is. They come at you.
Yeah, but there are some things like there's bugs or whatever. They're dumb. You could be setting them on fire, and you could have a flame like a moth. You could have a flame, and they'll fly into it. They're dumb. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, but like those bugs don't really have a developed. They don't really have brains like.
Yeah, they're not going to
do.
fight for their life. But the dog will.
Because that's just. You have to think about a lot of this stuff could just be what worked as far as evolution went and natural selection. Like the dog that didn't do that just didn't pass on its genes. It can be like a much more surface level thing than you think.
Yeah, but dogs are actually sentient. Like they are actually sentient.
They don't know like
they're sentient. Dogs are. Part of
how can you prove that?
Affection.
So
that's a form of being sentient.
I mean, that could be a factor, but it doesn't prove anything.
It proves they're sentient.
The only thing you know for certain is sentient is you. That's the only thing you know for a fact.
That's sentient is you.
100% without a doubt is yourself. For all I know, you're not sentient. It's just logical to think you are. You know, but as far as I'm aware, I'm like, as far as that 100% certainty, I'm the only thing that's sentient.
Right.
In my mind, and your mind, and everyone's mind. That's just how it is. You can't prove sentientness or consciousness. I'm going to say that because less of a mouthful.
Okay. Okay. So, fair. So this is even what I actually go on to say. I say self-awareness is said to take place in the cerebral cortex. But to me, it seems to be more than that. Instead, it is an interaction between the limbic system and our cortex. I think it's actually an interaction. Sentience comes when your limbic and your cortex interact. All right, so since our DNA is the largest and most efficient database known to man, is it possible to find the genetic code? This is how I think you can actually run that genetic network I was talking to you about with the limbic system. Is it possible to run that genetic code to the connection to genetic code? Largest database known to man. Is it possible to find out genetic code? Through genetic code, the connection to the brain that is self-awareness. So how would you do this? For example, you could run a simulation where we remove various genetic structures in our DNA, and we do this by process of elimination. So the way we do this is there's an algorithm, and the algorithm is called an A-star algorithm. And A-star algorithms, what they do is they test every possible outcome imaginable, every combination.
Take a really long time.
Right, that's what this algorithm is for, because you're not doing that shit by hand. And then we do that until we find the combination, which, when muted, eliminates the ability for the cortex and the limbic system to influence each other. And once that genetic structure, when that's muted, and then suddenly limbic and cortex don't communicate, then we know that gene is where it is.
What if it's more than one gene, though?
It's possible it could be, but then at least we know which genes are the ones that affect it.
But do you think it'd be that like cut and clear? Like that's assuming that the only
yes.
That's assuming the only cause of consciousness is the communication between the limbic system and your memory. But if that's not the only thing that causes consciousness, it wouldn't only be that gene.
Right. Yeah. Well, worms are not conscious, right?
As far as we're aware, no.
They don't have a cortex, but they do have a limb.
No one really knows, but like
no, worms don't. They don't have a cortex.
Well, that's assuming we know consciousness comes from your cortex. We don't know.
We don't. That's true. We don't. That's true. But
I mean, it makes sense to think worms aren't conscious because they're so simple.
Yeah.
But like, at the end of the day, we don't know. It's a question you can't answer. That's why it's like.
And that's what I'm trying to do in this podcast. That's what we're gonna try to do, you and I.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, you don't know. Like a worm. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, if you don't know, you might as well assume that it is if it's living.
Right. Exactly, and that's I kind of agree. I actually totally agree with that. Is we don't even know if consciousness is a thing.
I mean, we do know.
We do. Okay, we do
know it's a thing.
Right. How do we know it's a thing?
Because we feel it.
Right, but
We
feeling
experience
is not an objective way to determine something.
I mean, if you experience it, even if it's an illusion,
if you
it's
feel
still
a worm,
there.
if you feel a worm doesn't have any consciousness.
But no, that's completely different because you can't think for the worm, but you can think for yourself.
You can think. Yeah, that's true. Think of it yourself. Yeah. I keep losing track. I wrote all this shit down because it's just I didn't want to get off track.
You can always.
The answer to what is consciousness, that question, to me seems to be possible to find by implementation of both genetic networks and neural networks. So the answer to your question is, how would finding those genes do it? Then you implement them into something called a neural network. And a neural network is it's a network just similar to the genetic one that represents the brain's function and the brain's connections. It has axons. It has like all of the brain cells. It has everything just like it, and it represents the brain, and it functions like the brain.
I don't think we can make a simulation right now big enough to represent the brain. We don't know enough.
And that's why we can't make AI sentient, is because we can't replicate the limbic system.
Another thing is like, would AI even be sentient ever?
That's the thing though. So what does a computer do? A computer thinks logic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is one of the reasons why I think sentience is between the cortex and the limbic system. So the AI, it thinks if it had a cortex, that's all it would be using. Is just our cortex, and it's not sentient
unless you program in other things.
Yeah, but the thing that's missing is okay. So it thinks logically.
Yeah, but you can make logic seem like emotion. Like for example,
yeah,
you
seem
could say,
is the key word there. It doesn't.
Yeah, but you don't know if that's what we're doing either. You don't know if that's what animals are doing. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, we do know that that's not what is we do know
because on the neurological scale, it's like this reaction causes this reaction, which causes this reaction, which causes this reaction.
No,
that's what's happening. Like
when you experience emotion, you are experiencing it in your limbic system, in the core part of your brain. You are not experiencing emotion
which causes
in your
this
cortex.
Neuron to fire, which causes this neuron to fire, which causes you to do something. Right?
I mean,
your neurons are like gates.
If you're an emotion you feel right now is you're nervous, it's gonna trigger things in your body. Your hands are gonna get sweaty. You're gonna shake. You're gonna have basic.
But it's all because your neurons are communicating to each other, to make that happen.
Yeah. But you're saying, why can't we program that into a computer?
You can. The thing is, like, we don't know if, like, because there's no, like, thing in our brain. It's like, oh, this is the consciousness part. No, there's no thing, So that could be easily what is happening. If
you had to look at a computer and what its function is, what part of the brain would you call that? Like, you wouldn't call that. You wouldn't say, like, oh, this is like my hypothalamus. You wouldn't say, oh, this is my cerebellum. You wouldn't
the-
call
the
it that.
co-
You would call
because
it
the
your
computer
cortex because the
doesn't-
function it has is the same function of your cortex. It does
The computer
same.
doesn't. It only needs that because that's all we built.
Right. But we're
Because
talking
the
about trying to make
computer
this thing
doesn't
sentient.
need to survive. But if you want to make it sentient, theoretically, you could just program this stuff in. It could be like,
You can't
if
theoretically.
this happens, then you feel this.
But here's the like I thought that too. But here's the thing, dude, because I said this like early. The limbic system is responsible for emotions and everything. So self-awareness is irrationality and memory, right? Because you have that's the thing about it. You could program it in there, but but then it's not irrational.
You're conscious. Like if you
But it's not irrational if you program it in. It's irrational if it's just happening, unexplained.
but you're conscious even without memory.
Do ya?
Yes,
How?
because people with like memory loss issues, but they're not conscious. So that part of your brain gets damaged. You're all of a sudden not a conscious human being.
Memory loss issues don't mean you. If
You know those people
if
that are
you-
like stuck like in their 20s?
Yeah, but they don't suffer 100% total memory loss.
Like they can't remember anything past 5 minutes ago for the rest of their life. They only live within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
There's people like that, but they're not conscious?
No, they're not. Because they are stuck. Like they can't think outside of that 5-minute window. We can conceptualize the universe. We can think about these things. We can find patterns. We can like really like think deeply. They cannot think of anything outside of that 5-minute window that they're stuck in. That's not being conscious.
So,
They're not aware of anything else.
but they're aware that they're alive. Even if they only experience.
They're aware that they're alive, but consciousness also you also have to remember consciousness and reality are important. Their reality is not reality.
Let's say the part of your brain that processes emotion was damaged, right? And all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you only have memory, but you have
Yeah.
zero emotion, but you're not conscious anymore.
If you say that again, so if the part of your brain that is responsible for emotion gets damaged,
let's say the limbic system.
limbic.
Sorry, I only just started reading about this like 5 minutes ago. So give me a break. Boom, like someone somehow shoots it right and manages to destroy that part of your brain, but every other part of your brain is intact.
Yeah.
You're not conscious anymore.
No, you're
You
still
can't
conscious.
feel any emotion. You're still conscious, so you don't need your. So couldn't you argue it's just memory?
No, because because when I say like emotion, that's one aspect. By that I mean irrational things, because you also get impulsive behavior from there. It's the eat, sleep, fuck. It's limbic. That's it. That's what it's for. Eat, sleep, fuck.
No, and anger.
So then you wouldn't be empathetic. You would probably be a serial killer or something, you know? Because like they do that. Like serial killers, they have a part of their brain that when being scanned, and it's a PET scan, and they're showing gruesome images, a normal person's would light up. Theirs doesn't light up at all.
Yeah, I guess most serial killers, right? Maybe not all of them.
Their pons, it just doesn't function. It doesn't work. So they just don't have any emotion. So that
Well,
happens.
it could also
But
be
they're-
that you're raised, if you're raised in an environment where that stuff is seen as okay, they'll kind of learn that like is okay, and you won't get an emotional reaction to certain things like that.
It can be learned too, for sure.
It can be a learned trait. It doesn't necessarily mean.
But both of
damaged.
them. But the thing is, both their pons doesn't light up, because your pons would be responsible for empathy. So neither of them, their pons is not functioning at a normal person level.
Yeah. But what does that have to do with consciousness?
You're saying if you don't have that emotion, you can't be conscious. But serial killers are conscious.
Exactly. I mean,
So then you can, but then you can be, and the thing is, serial killers are also irrational. That's why I'm saying, like, when I say emotion, it's irrationality is an umbrella term. Like, irrationality has to do with emotions and anything impulsive, anything that's really hard to explain A feeling. A feeling is irrational. Like literally, feelings are actually irrational. That's why computers are very logical. They don't have feelings.
So I have a question. Let's say you could take out pieces of my brain one cell at a time
Okay.
and put them in a jar, right? Take it one cell at a time. At what point would I no longer be conscious?
I would say you would no longer be conscious. That's a good question, actually.
There was a better way to ask that question.
No, that's a good question. Well, I could say with like a certain degree of confidence one thing, but I'm going to say something that I would have 100% degree of confidence. And it's once we get to like your very, very midbrain, you know, your brainstem, your cerebellum, then you're not going to be conscious. You're just going to have a heartbeat. You're going to live. You're going to eat. And that's all you're going to literally be.
Consciousness is also super individual, right?
What?
Okay, so I actually just thought of
I just
something.
don't get it. Yeah.
So, you said you could like maybe simulate consciousness, right? But could you though? Because if you took an exact scan of my brain and cloned it and put it in a computer, that program would act like me, but it wouldn't be me because I'm still me.
Well, what makes you?
I just know I'm me.
But you just knowing something doesn't.
But the thing is, like, that's what everyone experiences. Like, you know you're you. You would feel the same way. It's not like there'd be two of you. It'd be you and a copy of you that thinks it's you. But, like, that's, I don't know. That's what consciousness.
I mean,
If you know you're alive, you're conscious. I just feel like that's what it is. I've been doing a really shit job of explaining it, but, like,
no,
it makes
you're
sense
not,
in my
dude.
head.
Literally, it's just really hard to even think about it. It's like
Yeah, it's
really
hard.
just hard to even think about being like conscious, being aware of yourself. It's just really hard to think about, but it's fun as fuck to think about too.
Do you ever think, like, when you move your hands, you do that? Like, do you ever think, like, how am I even doing that?
Yeah, you're not even aware you're doing it. You don't think about it.
You just do it.
Yo, I'm glad you're bringing this shit up because I'm gonna go into that. I'm going into that kind of shit because you're just
Pretty
doing
crazy.
that. You don't know.
You just do it. Yeah, it's like, I want to do this. I want, like, you know what you're gonna do. You can anticipate it.
But it's
But
not
I don't know how I'm
involuntary.
doing it.
It's not involuntary.
Yeah, it's not involuntary, but it's not like I'm thinking like I gotta pull this tendon and then move. It's like it just happens.
Exactly. Yeah, dude. Can you fucking imagine if you had to think every single muscle you had to like tighten and relax every step you took?
Yeah, so I gotta send the signal down this part into
Yeah.
this nerve and tighten this fiber.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Okay, so let me ask you this. There's the last thing about like is it conscious? This would be a game show. Is it conscious? All right, Jake. So is it conscious? All right. So you go to a party on a Thursday night. You get blackout drunk. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You get a little wild at the party and everything like that. You wake up the next morning and your friend shows you a picture of you that night. In the picture, you got mud all over you. You look sloppy. Your shirt's all ripped and everything, but you don't remember that night. You have no recollection of that night at all. Does that mean for one night you were not conscious?
No, it means you don't remember being conscious. But I think in every single moment,
Right.
you know you're there.
You were not aware.
You're not aware looking back at it, but when it was happening, you knew it was happening and knew it was going on.
Okay. And that's how I think memory plays a role in consciousness.
I think that's why it's like, let's say you black out and rape somebody. Like, you can't say that wasn't you because you don't remember. Because it's like, just because you don't remember doesn't mean it was still you. You just don't remember. I mean, like, like when it was happening, you knew it was happening. That's the thing. So yeah, I would say you were conscious.
Did you know it was happening though? I mean,
You did. You had to. If you did it, like, you had to have control. You'd have to.
if you were really conscious, would your conscious self do that? If you were conscious, would that be a decision you would make if you were conscious? No.
I mean, I personally wouldn't, but maybe somebody would.
Well, somebody, yeah, but yeah.
But it could just be like, when
You're not
black
conscious
out
there.
drunk, it's not that you're not conscious. It just kind of like shuts down more reason, and like it shuts down more logic in your head, is like on why you shouldn't react on certain impulses. And I feel like
So
all that really does is kind of bring out the parts of you that you're holding in due to just like society norms.
okay,
Like it brings out the more the instinct, like, ooh,
you start behaving with your limbic system instead
Yeah,
of your
exactly.
cortex when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Right. So you're functioning consciously, but you're not letting your cortex make any decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
So your conscious can also lie in your limbic system that way then as well, right? Because
Mhm.
you're bypassing your cortex. Okay, so you think like no matter what happens, to some degree, you're always relatively conscious, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
What
always-
about when someone gets knocked unconscious?
When you get knocked unconscious, well, then
Can you
obviously
explain that to me.
you're not conscious.
Okay.
Because
So then to some degree you can sometimes be unconscious.
but when you think back on being knocked out, what do you think of? You don't think of nothing, right?
you don't remember it.
You don't remember. Well, what do you think of when you think of the space and time
The
between?
last thing that happened.
But yeah, I feel like this is how my brain works. Like,
Like
when
that
I think
time
of
didn't
it,
even that time didn't even happen. Like you didn't
but
even,
like you think of it as like a black speck. You think of it as something. It's not like you can't think of nothing. You know what I mean? Like when I think about sleeping at night, right? It's not like I think of that time of sleep. I'm not conscious during that time of sleep, right? But I can't. When I think back of that time of sleeping, I think of like it's always the same amount of time, no matter how long you're sleeping for, or how long you're out for. It's like you remember like a bit of just just dark, and it's
Yeah.
like a second. But there's always something that you remember, that your brain kind of fills in, because you can't really comprehend unconsciousness. We're not like designed to do that.
But are you remembering though when you're still
You're
like,
not actually
but no,
remembering.
that little black speck you remember, is that like right before you like when when you're asleep and you're like half conscious, like right before you fall asleep?
Mm-hmm.
Are you remembering that exact instance when you're still half conscious? Because it's tough to remember things when you're not conscious. People don't remember things when they're knocked out. People don't remember.
I mean, you
things when
can't
they're
remember
blacked out.
things. Your brain's kind of off.
You're unconscious because your cortex is not functioning.
All right.
Limbic or your memory.
You know when you're definitely not conscious? Before you're born,
Yeah.
right? So when you think about the time, you know what this used to freak me out, thinking
Yeah,
about
that's
this type
true.
of shit, and like give me like, what the fuck? Let's say I was never born,
Uh-huh.
right? And you think to yourself, what would it be like to never be born? You can't even like,
Comprehend it because
you
there's
can't
nothing.
even comprehend it. It's like when you think about the time before you're born,
You're just there.
it's not like you can even think of the time. Like you think of something, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
Yeah.
this is how it was before I was born. You think of something, but like that couldn't be. And that's the same thing you think of when you don't remember things. So you think of this as just a nothing, but
So
nothing
you have
is,
no memory of it. You have no recollection. You have you don't remember any thoughts you had or nothing. You have no recollection. That's the thing.
And what's the day you become conscious?
But that's hang on, can I? Well, actually, I do know this. All right, so around the age of like 2 to 3 is when people have their first memories, and those memories are photographic. And then around the age of 4, like 3 and 4 to 4 to 5, that's when you start to get like videographic memories. So around
All
2
right.
to 3 is when you get your first.
So
memories.
what? Like you just wake up one day and it's like, I'm conscious, so here I am.
No, it's just
You know
your
what I
brain
mean?
starts to function consciously.
Like if you came out with a completely developed brain, you just came out the room with a completely developed brain, and someone asked, well, where were you 10 minutes ago? What would you say?
Don't nowhere. Yeah, I was here. I don't know. What do you mean? I've been here the whole time.
The thing is, like, I
It
guess
would be
it is
like waking.
a
It'd be
lot.
like waking up from getting knocked out. That's probably how it feels.
But when you get
and
knocked out, you still remember something beforehand.
Yeah, you remember a fist coming at your face.
Exactly. There's nothing to remember beforehand when you
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's
just
true.
appear.
That's true. But that's the thing. Okay, so that's the thing. So
Shit's fucking weird, man.
no, but Jake, this is my
I
point.
used to get like
This is my
death
point.
anxiety when I used to overthink this type of stuff. I think about it and be like, fucking Christ, I don't want to die.
So consciousness seems to have to do a lot with memory, doesn't it?
Honestly, I think consciousness is also like an instinct. It's like you don't want to lose it.
But does it have to do a lot with memory? Because all of those things times periods, you're
It
in the
does have
womb,
to
you're
do
not-
with memory.
Okay,
but
now
I don't-
Let me say.
I think as far as remembering,
Can I say this?
okay.
I gotta say one last thing. So it has to do with memory. Okay. So,
Mhm.
so is this how do you see now how this is how you recognize yourself in the mirror? How you're self-aware? Because it's in your memory, not because you're conscious, because it's in your memory. because of a logical process. They use it to determine, oh, that's me in the
Then why
mirror.
can't other animals recognize themselves in the mirror?
They can?
Besides dolphins.
Elephants can.
No, elephants can't.
Yes, they can.
I thought it was only dolphins.
There's a few animals that can recognize themselves. Quite a few. Gorillas.
Maybe apes can.
A lot of animals can.
Like dogs can't. Cats can't.
I think dogs might be able to.
Dogs can't.
I can't confirm that, but yeah. But okay, so I'm glad. All right, we got. So memory, you have to have memory to be conscious. So if you have no memory, if you don't have any memory at all, you're not conscious, because you're not remembering anything that's happened.
No, you're
So
still conscious.
You can't even. But being
But
conscious,
okay, but that logic.
being conscious is knowing that you're aware.
Mm-mm.
But if you don't have memory, you
can
can't
still know you're aware without remembering that you were aware. Like with that logic, none of us would ever be conscious because we're all gonna die eventually and then have no memory of this. So what? We're never conscious. Things are really
Wait,
really
no, I'm not
real
saying we're never
when
conscious.
things are really real when they're happening.
I'm not saying we're never conscious, dude. I think we can be conscious, but
If it had to do with memory, can you remember?
I do
what you
not
ate?
think consciousness is what you think it is or what people think it is, because I
don't think
don't
anyone
see
knows what it is.
when you break it down, it doesn't seem to be that, like this magical voice in your head or this magical second person.
It's just you. That's what consciousness
But that's
is.
the thing is like it's like for the best way to say, the stereotype of it is like there's like a soul inside of you, like it's like a second person. But
I mean, that's what it feels like, you know.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, that's what it feels like, right?
It feels like you're in a body. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it does. Yep, it does. It does. But I think there's a few things that can give that effect. You can get that effect without. I mean, you ever heard of out of body experiences? You know, people with
Just take
anxiety.
some fucking what's it called? What's that chemical that makes you trip off your balls?
DMT.
Yeah, just take some DMT.
Yeah. Wait. So let me see where I left off. Fuck. Okay. So here's the order of processes that I think like leads to consciousness. Right. All right. So this is like a continuum. Right. So you think of a dog. This is everything that goes on in your brain. All right. So right now you think of a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain caches your thought about a dog in your working memory. Your working memory is like cache of a computer. You then recall from working memory that your last thought was about a dog. This recall of working memory about your most recent thought, that's what I think is consciousness. Your recall, like the cache memory, you store it, your last thought. So you have it there, and then your brain recalls it again, and you think, oh, I'm thinking about a dog. Does that make sense?
When you're thinking about nothing, you're still alive though, without recalling a memory.
But being alive is not consciousness. Like plants are alive. Are they conscious?
All right, but I know I'm I'm looking at this blue. I'm looking at this mic, right? I'm reading the word blue on it.
Yep.
And like while I'm doing so, I'm also thinking to myself, I'm alive right now. I know I'm touching this mic. I know it's like kind of cool touch. Because the metal has a cool feeling. Like I don't know. I don't think memory is like.
But how? Okay, but that doesn't make sense? Okay, so you think of a dog, and then your brain stores that in your working memory, which is like your quick short-term memory, stores it right there, and then you go and you recall that back, and it's happened so fast that you go, oh my god, I'm thinking about a dog, right now. But no, it didn't happen that way. It was one step at a time. They just happen so quickly together that it almost seems simultaneous.
I don't know. I just disagree. I don't think you need memory to have consciousness.
Okay, but then how come everything that you were telling me about that people can't remember, they weren't conscious?
No, they were conscious.
They can't be conscious if you don't know what the fuck's going on.
If you knew what was going on, what was happening, it's because you can't remember. Doesn't mean you didn't know what was going on. Like for example, if you're behaving with strictly your limbic system, you're behaving like an animal who you say is not conscious, because an animal behaves with their limbic system, and you say they are not conscious. Well, they are. I mean,
but are they or are they not? Because you said
I feel like
a dog doesn't know they're alive.
They're a different level of consciousness. Like
Which
can
is
still
it?
suffer. You know what I mean?
Let's which is it? Like I just want we gotta solidify which one it is. Because a dog's not conscious, you say. Right?
A dog is like, it's just a different level.
Yeah.
Like they're conscious, you know. They know this hurts. They know this makes them feel sad. They know a lot of stuff. But they don't know like
they're alive.
Yeah, they don't know like, oh, I'm here.
Right.
I can move my paw like this. They don't have like that thought.
Okay, and they behave with their limbic.
They can't
system.
ask questions, you know. Yeah.
All of the things they do are limbic based, right?
Yeah.
All right. So when you're blackout drunk and you're unconscious, it seems, you're not like using you're not thinking your impulsive decisions through. You're not using your cortex. You're thinking like a dog. You're using the same and the only parts of the brain that dog thinks with, and that is this. You're both using your limbic system. You know?
Well, then maybe your level of consciousness goes down, but like
that's possible.
I don't know. It's not like you're completely. It's not like that area is completely shut down when you're blackout. It's more of like it's just less important. You know, I guess I'll ask questions.
So then dogs are conscious.
I'd say they're conscious, but not like not the same level as a human. They can't ask these questions.
They're not aware they're alive.
They're not aware they're alive, exactly. But they're conscious. I would say they're conscious, but not self-aware.
So then, what is consciousness to you, if it's not being aware you're alive?
I don't know, man. It's just like it's a complicated topic as far as animals go.
All right, so okay.
'Cause I don't know. Like I can't experience what they experience. So I can't tell you answer that question.
True.
I mean, I'd like to, you know, what I do know is like, you know, they feel pain, right? And certain things hurt them. Certain things make them happy. So you should treat them in a humane way, obviously. But like, I can't tell you for certainty if that dog is only reacting that way because, you know, it actually hurts the dog, or if it's reacting that way because it's like a computer and like this function tells this function to do this function and react like this. And, you know, I could say like humans are the same way.
I'm sorry. I didn't like it. Can you say that again? I just need to hear it again. I just didn't understand it. I just want to understand.
So I said I can't tell you for certainty whether if a dog is feeling pain, if it's like knows that it's in pain, actually knows that it's like in pain, or if it's just a process like a computer that goes, this function tells this thing to react like this, to react like this, to react like this, to make the dog flail its arms around and cry. You know what I mean? Okay. I can't tell you what 100% certainty, but you have to assume that is not the case. You have to assume.
For a dog, yeah.
For a dog, you just have to assume that it does know. But like the only thing you know for sure is that like humans are conscious.
Yeah. Well.
Or that you're conscious.
Okay, so a dog doesn't think in processes. A dog thinks in I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a baby.
Yeah, exactly, like a baby. Okay, I mean, you know, I mean, you know, your frontal cortex develops until you're like 25, so that could probably answer why the baby isn't conscious.
Are babies conscious? I don't know. I don't remember anything about being a baby.
You don't remember shit, right? Again, memory is kind of connected.
But that's because you don't. As I was saying, it's because you don't remember. Doesn't mean you weren't conscious when it happened. This is the example I've been trying to say like 4 times. If you were
conscious of it, you probably would remember it.
Can I just say what I want to say real quick?
Is it gonna be fuck you to me?
Do you remember what you ate for dinner last week and where it was?
No.
Were you conscious? I guess you weren't conscious when it happened then, right?
No, but
because you don't remember.
Okay, that's a good point. But here's the thing. I do remember that I ate dinner, and here's another thing: is if that type of consciousness is a short-term memory thing, not so much consciousness. That's more of a short-term memory thing. Because when I was eating dinner, just because I don't remember, but that's more of a specific detail, rather than me being aware of myself at that time. I'm aware of myself at that time, but I don't know that. You can't
recall it, so how do you know that's true?
Right. Because that's the flaw. No, that's a flaw in human memory. That's a flaw in human memory, I think.
Well, then you could say it's a flaw in human memory as well that you don't remember when you're blackout drunk.
How?
Because you don't remember. Oh, you didn't remember. There was a flaw. There was a fucking hiccup because of the alcohol. Doesn't mean you weren't aware stuff was happening while it was happening. You just don't remember. Just like you know for a fact you were aware what you were cooking and what you were eating when you were eating dinner, but you don't remember last week.
Right, but I could remember if I'm sitting here talking to like my girlfriend and like, oh, what did we do that day? We woke up and we went to the store, and then we had hamburgers. I could recall that at some point.
What if it was like a year ago?
A year ago, it's not gonna be there. That's because your brain is not gonna store useless information.
Exactly.
Like
if it was a year ago,
there are people
you could use all the information in the world on that specific day what you ate, but you'd be like, I don't fucking know. Does it mean you weren't conscious and aware you were eating when it was happening?
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, it's a good point. That is a good point. Let me think. So, okay. Types of I got it. All right, so like types of conscious, like the way consciousness can behave with your brain. All right. So I was saying to you that there is when you have a conscious thought, like when you're thinking, when you're realizing that you're thinking. That process is because your brain will store your thought of a dog. It'll cache it into your working memory. Okay, so that would be very short-term memory, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're conscious in that instance, but it's not going to get stored in your long-term memory. Okay, so things that, so your conscious behaves with your working memory. Your short-term memory, what you ate for dinner a couple days ago, it will go there, but it's eventually going to go away. Now, in long-term memory, your conscious will interact with your conscious will interact with your long-term memory when trying to recall who you are when you see your reflection. So for what you're saying, you have to know there's 3 different types of memory, right? But if you can't remember last night, if you weren't aware of last night, an entire night, how can you say you were conscious for it? You know? If that makes any sense at all.
Because I don't know. You can't say you weren't.
Is my mic quiet?
No.
All right, just making sure.
But you can't say you weren't. Honestly, it's not an answerable question. Just my opinion on it.
I mean, that would be more of a I don't remember what I ate. You know?
I guess the process is different, you know? But like,
there are people who get Alzheimer's and they don't recognize themselves. Like, they won't recognize themselves. That happens.
Yeah.
They're and they literally seem oblivious to everything around them. Like, they'll literally just get up and walk around. Like, my great-grandfather has dementia, and he has Alzheimer's, and he was, like, one time going, come here, boy. Come here, come on. He thought he had a dog. He doesn't have a dog.
Maybe he used to have a dog.
He used to have a dog, yeah. But
So
the thing is, he is not conscious of the reality he's in currently because he's calling for his dog to come over. He doesn't have a dog. That's not conscious. That's delusional. That's delusion. Consciousness and delusion, and those are literally polar opposites of each other. Because if you're not conscious, you're going to be delusional.
So let's say you take 12 tabs of acid on your tongue.
Yeah, you're fucking. Probably,
you're gone. You're flying.
You're not gonna be very conscious.
Right? You're flying somewhere.
that was I'm sorry. That was like a fucking gayest thing I ever said. Yeah, if you do that, you're probably not gonna be very conscious.
Do you know where the tinfoil is?
Oh, we're out.
We're out of tinfoil?
Yeah, I was looking for it yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. You're gonna have to cut that out now.
Yeah. Oh my god, if I can find it, but yeah. But yeah. So.
Fuck, what was I saying?
God, we're sitting over here talking about like pretty intelligent shit, and you have someone walk in and go, you know where the tinfoil is? It was kind of a sobering moment.
All right. You take 12 tabs of acid, right?
Yeah.
You're gone. You're
Yep.
flying somewhere, right? You think what's happening while it's happening is real, right? It's like, oh, you think you're flying around, but you're not. But when you doesn't mean you weren't conscious when it was happening, right? When you think back at it, you know that
you
know,
were not
that's
conscious when that was happening.
but you remember it.
Have you ever seen somebody on acid?
You remember the trip though, don't you? You remember it happening. So you had to be conscious of it if you remember
but you're
it.
not. You're hallucinating.
But you remember the hallucination. You were
you
conscious.
remember that you're conscious of the hallucination. You're aware of this hallucination.
So you could say that if person with Alzheimer's is aware.
Talking about acid?
Not really. I'm just using it as an example.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I could go on about that.
Okay, cool.
All right, well,
Next time.
okay, cool.
Another edit.
Who is that?
That's my brother.
I kind of want to leave that part in there though,
All right, go ahead.
because that's kind of gold right there. You talking about acid?
You should come on the next podcast.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
He needs a webcam though.
You guys could just be together. I could pretend like I'm interviewing, like a gay foster parents or something,
I think he should get his own webcam. But yeah, I guess they
or twins. We could, we could do a podcast on you guys because you're twins.
It won't be interesting. I promise.
Yeah.
It won't. Like it just won't.
Anyway, what were you saying? That
So you're
acid-
conscious while you're tripping balls. You're conscious. I should have asked him. Of course, he's gonna say, of course, you know what's happening when it's happening, and you remember it happened when it happened,
Yeah.
right? So you can't say you weren't conscious when it was happening if you at least remember it.
Okay, but here's the thing. All right. So there's two things to look at. So there's two perspectives. Let's look at these two perspectives. You have the person who's on acid's perspective, and what he's seeing is like fucking colorful things and like flying whatever, and he's on top of like an animal flying somewhere. All right. And then you have the person who's watching him, who didn't take acid, sitting on the couch across from him, seeing him, literally seeing so out of touch with reality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? I guess it makes sense then with that there are different types of consciousness, if that's what you're saying, right? There's different types. Or
I'm saying, yeah, you can be conscious that something's happening, even if what's happening isn't real. Like the guy with Alzheimer's who said, "Oh, come here, boy," to the dog.
yeah,
He could know that he could think he's doing that to a dog, but he's actually doing it to thin air. But he's still conscious that he's doing that in his mind as a dog. It's like when you're tripping balls, you're conscious that you're flying around, even if you're not.
that's interesting. Well,
I feel like I'm just
So
kind
what
of
is that?
debunking everything.
No,
but like
I mean you're
it's
not.
not like you can have that's probably a question, because you can't have like you can debunk any sort of debate that you make with this type of thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's still an open-ended question that hasn't been answered because it's so easy to shut down anything.
Yeah, but so I'm pretty sure there's different levels of consciousness. I 100% agree with that because like monks, like Buddhist monks, are probably the most conscious and self-aware people in existence. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a learned thing than like a biological thing. I feel like the consciousness I'm talking about is more of a biological consciousness, like what you're born with.
But the thing is, the meditation that they're doing makes them more. They literally spend their lives trying to become as aware of their thoughts as possible. Right.
But it's not like
And the thing about
they can ever ascend in the consciousness level. Like
they are super
these are
highly
the layers
aware
of
of every
consciousness,
thought they
right?
have.
This was a YouTube comment that you had, right? You can ask yourself 5 questions: who, what, where, when, and why, right? Things with lower levels of consciousness can't ask why, and I think they can't ask who, but they can say what, where, and when, right? And you lose more of those questions as you go down in consciousness. So with that logic, when you go up in consciousness, you should be able to ask a 6th question and a 7th question that we just can't because we can't reach that level. So
You know what?
what
That
I'm
makes
saying with
sense.
like Buddhist monks is like maybe they're more aware, but they're always at that same level of consciousness that all humans are at.
Consciousness is kind of it's not.
It's like you have to have an
Consciousness
understanding.
is awareness. They're kind of the same. Self-aware and being conscious is very similar.
Yeah, they are. But what I'm saying is like I think
like we're at level 5 and they're at level like 8, right?
But no. Like if we're level 5, we can ask who, what, where, when, and why, right? A Buddhist monk can still only ask who, what, where, when, and why. It's not like they can comprehend another level.
Oh yeah, no, they can just also. yeah, but they can do that, and then they can do more.
They can't do that.
I mean,
they can't just be like, oh, this is the 6th question, the 6th level.
If you are angry, you're playing League of Legends, and you get pissed because you died and you haven't won any games, right?
Yeah, sounds very, very.
You get
familiar.
mad and you punch your keyboard, right? That's what I've been told.
That's what you've been told.
Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And you break your space bar.
It's because my team is shit, though. That's the only inaccuracy you have.
Okay, so you do that, right? If you were a Buddhist monk, what you would do is you would be playing League, and you would go, "I'm feeling angry. I'm angry right now. Mm-hmm. What I'm feeling right now, this emotion I'm feeling, is I'm angry. Why am I angry? You know, this is just a game. I am angry at this." You will be like fucking punching the shit out of your computer, right? So they're aware of their emotions. You act on your emotions. You let your limbic system take.
True.
You let your limbic system take the wheel. They let their cortex sort of communicate with their limbic system to figure out what the hell's going on.
But that's more about self-control.
No, that's about self-awareness because you're self-aware of your emotions.
Well, I'm aware I'm angry, but I don't give a fuck.
That in itself
like,
is
I'll ask
actually,
myself, why am I angry? And I'll be like, I don't give a fuck why I'm angry. I'm pissed. Fuck this bullshit.
Because you're acting impulsively. Because your limbic system is overriding everything else in your brain. Someone's like, "Why are you angry?" Like, "I don't go fuck. I'm just fucking pissed. Fuck it." You know, like you ever like if you stop and think like, "Why am I mad right now? This is really," and then you start to like look at it in reality. You know, when you're mad, you think real crazy. Like, right? If you're mad or you're sad, you think real crazy.
Oh, you think some crazy
your perception
shit.
Of reality is altered.
Like you would literally kill a person.
Yes, your perception is totally altered, right?
100%.
But when you're calm, you know, if some crazy shit goes on like months ago, and in that time, you're thinking like, it just seems like the end of the world. Fast forward a few months, you look back at it, you're like, man, what the hell was that? That was ridiculous, right? Like, you know that feeling when you're just
again, and then you do.
When you're looking back at it, how you totally understand it much better. Mm-hmm. Like somebody who's very self-aware, very conscious, is able to do that in real time.
Jeez, I will never be at that level.
That's a high level of consciousness. That's a different level of consciousness.
I feel like it's more of a level of self-awareness and consciousness.
Yes.
Those are two separate things.
That's what I just said. They're both.
I think they're separate things.
Okay. How is that even possible? Because you're conscious of your thoughts. You're conscious you're having an irrational thought right now that you want to punch your keyboard because you just lost a video game, right? You're self-aware.
So emotional awareness. Like knowing, I don't know. Being able to think rationally in a situation is more of a learned trait than like a level of consciousness in my opinion.
That is the entire point. Meditation helps your consciousness or no? Let's see what I need to know.
Consciousness. I think it helps
your self-awareness. Like what is it? Like and it elevates your consciousness. Is that what meditation does?
I don't think it elevates your consciousness.
That's literally the only thing it's made for. That's what it is for. Actually, I just needed to see if that was agreed upon.
But if we don't know what consciousness is, how can you even say that's true?
We have an idea.
How could
we don't know.
Say
no, we don't.
True?
It's not that we don't know what it is. We don't know where it comes from.
Or why it happens. Exactly where and why. Those are the questions. We can ask why, but it can't.
Like if somebody has really good memory, like they can remember every book they've ever read, right? Mm-hmm. You know, we didn't know. We just like, oh, they got good memory. They have really good memory, right? Okay. They can remember every single book they've ever read. An average person can't, right? So, but then we find out it's like, oh, you know, they have like their memory portion of their brain is much larger than the average person's. That's why they can remember so much. That's kind of what we're looking for. Like what I'm talking about here is like trying to find that type of answer. Like, why can they remember things before no one knew? And then we go, oh shit, their memory portion of their brain's massive. Why are some people more conscious than other? If someone can have a better memory than somebody else can be more conscious or aware than another.
But I feel like consciousness involves more of the whole brain than a section of it.
It doesn't. I mean,
It's
nah.
everything. It's everything, dude.
I mean, I guess,
The
I-
only
but-
thing that it isn't is like your brainstem and
I don't
cerebellum.
know how to feel about that.
No, but you see something.
Consciousness is everything. How
It's
is
your-
how? I mean, how?
Because like I feel like, all right, so the biggest portion of your brain, right? The prefrontal cortex, right? Is what
The
it's called?
penis.
The penis, yeah.
the
Okay, the
biggest portion of the
prefrontal
brain.
cortex, biggest part of your brain.
Yeah.
And that controls like rational thinking, I believe, and like thought. And it can. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. That's the part of your brain that makes you not react irrationally. Yeah.
Right, and
you're
like
right.
critical thinking as well, right?
Yeah.
Is that big part of the brain, and you can't say that that is not part of consciousness.
I am actually saying it is. I've been saying it is.
So that's one part. Boom.
yes.
Right. Next part of your brain, you got the
cortex.
back of your brain where you can see. Right.
Yeah.
Vision.
Yeah.
You see something, it gets stored in your memory. I feel like it's all kind of ties together.
Can I read the conclusion of all this to you, and then we'll. I just want to get this out of the way,
And maybe
and then
I'm
we can
deficient.
continue.
Maybe I'm completely wrong.
I just want to
actually.
like clear up where I'm coming from. Okay. Which one? Let me just. I don't know if I want to read both of these points or just kind of not read one. Just read the simplified version. Okay. So my conclusion, Jake. This is my conclusion on this. My fucking stance on this shit. Okay. The speed, what I think consciousness is an illusion. I think it's an illusion because the speed at which you recall and send information to memory from various parts of the brain, so I agree with you, various parts of the brain, has such little delay, such little pings, like minimal latency between processes that it gives you the illusion of being aware of your thoughts. Okay, now sentience is also the speed at which your cortex and limbic system communicate. There is no section of the brain responsible for sentience. Sentience, and there is not. There's no portion of the brain that lights up when you're being conscious. Sentience is a result of brain signals performance. Simply put, a helicopter flies, and an F-22 Raptor fighter jet flies, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, an F-22 Raptor can break the sound barrier, and a helicopter cannot. This is due to performance of the F-22 over the helicopter. More specifically, the speed at which it travels, the required velocity for an object to break the sound barrier is 767 miles per hour. This applies to consciousness because I believe that consciousness has a barrier that requires a certain velocity of information to travel to and from various parts of the brain in order to perceive consciousness. And I'm going to assume that required velocity is a speed at which our brain cannot notice any latency. Like when you're thinking, you can't notice that you're thinking of something. There's no latency. So it's faster than your brain can process. Therefore, I find it safe to assume that the required time a signal has to travel from cortex to limbic system in order to achieve consciousness, that feeling of consciousness, is less than 50 milliseconds. And 50 milliseconds, because this is the amount of time it takes for your brain to process what your eyes see. 50 milliseconds. And you cannot be aware of your brain processing your vision, what you're seeing. You can't be aware of that. So if a signal is traveling from one region of the brain to another faster than like roughly 50 milliseconds, then it's not a thought. It's happening so quickly that you don't notice it. So it seems like you're having two thoughts at once.
But it seems like who's having you? Who's you?
What?
So it seems like you're having two thoughts at once, but then like, who's you?
Anybody. Like, that's consciousness.
But you got to be able to determine that you're you to even make that. It just.
That's what the memory and seeing yourself and knowing who you are, because like people, Alzheimer's can't see themselves or like don't recognize themselves. Some of them. So I think it's literally nothing more than like an illusion, because our brains go from we have a thought.
Why does that illusion happen?
It happens because it happens so quickly that we don't notice a delay in between it.
But
just like when
a delay, you have to be aware that
look at the wall next to you. Look at the wall next to you and be self-aware and be conscious that your brain is processing that wall.
Okay.
You can't be aware of the time something hits your eyes to the time your brain processes it.
Obviously not, but like
that in between time, like if anything that happens in that in between time, if it's faster than that, it'll seem like it's happening simultaneously. Right? It'll seem like it's happening simultaneously, but it's not. It's happening super fast. You don't notice the delay. Does that make sense? Like when you shoot a gun, it seems like it hits the target like instantly, right? But the bullet's traveling through the air. You know it takes time for the bullet to get from the gun to the target. You know it takes time. But it happens so fast it seems instantly. Right?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. That speed at which the bullet travels is consciousness, because it seems instantaneous. So consciousness is the path the bullet travels from the gun to the target and how fast it travels.
But you have to understand, like,
because without that, like, if you were like a fucking caveman, you would literally think you just you held a big metal pipe and you made something appear over there magically through a wormhole. You just think it just popped up out of nowhere, because a bow and arrow, you can see it moving. You would literally think you just like teleported something over to there if you were a caveman seeing that. So that's my stance on it.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I don't agree with that, but like,
well, why?
Because, all right, that doesn't need to happen. Like, there doesn't need to be any illusion. Like, who are you tricking?
I'm saying the illusion
yourself, which is like,
wait. No, I'm saying it feels like you are being conscious. The consciousness is not consciousness. Consciousness is an illusion that comes from how fast your brain can communicate amongst other regions. It seems like you're being aware of your thoughts, but in reality, you're sending information from your limbic to your cortex back to your limbic so fast that it seems like you just did two things at once. But in reality, there was a delay time, like the bullet traveling to the target.
Okay, I just don't understand what that has to do with like self-awareness.
Self-awareness is like something that seems to be. Oh wait, define which self-awareness? Like
it's the same thing. I don't know why I was
like. Do you mean like knowing, like recognizing yourself, or like being aware of your thoughts?
Being aware that you're alive, being aware that you're here on Earth and you're gonna die in however much time. Just being aware.
Well, the same way that you recognize that, I think you recognize yourself, is you see that throughout time. Like, okay.
So you're telling me consciousness is
let me answer the first question. So people are like scared of spiders and snakes. Do you know if like you flash a bunch of random images on a screen really quickly, all at the same time, any random images, and if you put a picture of a spider in there and it flashes just as fast as the other ones, you won't see any of the other ones. Like the flashing so fast they're blurry, but you will see the spider.
How do I test that?
Google it. Just look it up. See if that's true, because that is true.
What do I look up?
But can we do this after though? Because I want to finish this point. All right.
We didn't get into AI at all.
Wait.
But whatever.
Yeah. No, it was like it was a good conversation how it was gone. Okay, so that comes from evolution, because our brains eventually learned that don't step on those spiders, because every time somebody steps on one of those spiders, that guy gets real sick and doesn't seem to live too long. All right. So just like how we learn spiders are bad, and just like how we learn like, oh, that person in the mirror is me because no one else is around. Same thing with like living and dying. same thing. How we learned to be afraid of spiders. We grew. We evolved. We kept seeing people who they'd eventually just lay on the ground for way too long and be unresponsive. They couldn't talk to us no more.
So, all right. So
And then,
what?
well, let me finish. They couldn't talk to us anymore. And then we eventually realized, oh, I don't want to be that. We got to make a name for that. Let's call that dead.
And you'll wind up dead.
Like, that's the same thing. And you're aware that you're alive because you're not like that person. You're not like him because you can still talk. You can still move. You're not him, so I must be something else. What are we going to call what I am? Oh, call it alive. He's dead. I'm alive. I don't want to be like him. I want to be alive.
And it's called nega dead, actually.
Yeah.
Like he's dead and I'm nega dead.
What?
I was making a bad joke.
Is it a reference?
And it's like, like from Fairly Odd Parents, where he's like the Crimson Chin and the nega chin.
Oh, Crimson Chin. Yeah.
And then the nega chin.
Yeah.
Or the crimson opposite of leafy and then the nega opposite of leafy.
Yeah. Yeah, what if your fucking brother just popped in right now? Like, you guys talking about acid again? Just keeps doing it. Like, no, still not.
Got it on his tongue.
Yeah. But, yeah. So that's what I think.
All right, so as I was saying, let's say that's all true. Then what's the voice in my head that's like talking? It's like when I'm reading
What voice? That's like you. What define the voice? Be
like
specific.
When you think to yourself.
I don't like to give you a lot of room. I don't want to give you a lot of room to be able to there's slack. I want you to specify
The voice, like when you think to yourself, what am I going to eat today? You'll literally think, what am I going to eat today?
What am I going to eat today?
You're looking in the fridge like, oh, there's pizza. Like, the thing, like when you read anything and you like read to yourself and you kind of like perceive a voice in your head, then what's that?
Okay. So when you ask yourself, what is the process of why you would think of what am I going to eat today? All right. So first of all, core part of your brain, your limbic system, you feel hungry. Your limbic system says signals to your brain. It's time to eat. I'm hungry. And then your cortex goes, what is there to eat? What am I going to eat today? Let's go figure it out. They communicate. Your limbic system is telling your cortex you're hungry, go get food. And then your
theoretically,
the portion of your brain responsible for speech is telling you.
This would all work without consciousness.
What?
Like everything that's functioning would still work without you being aware. Like without.
But you haven't established what consciousness is. I established my stance on consciousness. You haven't established what your stance on consciousness is. It keeps your stance of consciousness is too blurry to use it as it does. Oh, but it doesn't disapprove this blurry ass thing that could be anything. Establish a clear line on what it is first.
I don't think there is a clear line. Like, I don't think you could say anything that it's like, it's this. I don't think it's provable.
That's why I'm saying it. I mean, I think my line's pretty fucking clear, bro.
I don't think it's provable. You can't prove that. You can have an idea.
One of my proofs was I tried to. I mean, I proved it as best I could without.
That's not proof, though.
It is proof. I feel like it was pretty good proof. Me saying that consciousness is information getting sent faster than your brain can receive. Why do I feel like it's this? Because your brain perceives what your eye sees in about 50 milliseconds, and you can't be aware of your brain perceiving things your eyes.
But that's not proof. Just because that's true isn't.
No, you're right. That's deductive logic.
Yeah,
that's about as good a proof as you can get without researching with people.
It's just not provable.
I mean, based on how much proof that is available, that's about as good as it can get. So you can try to make it as good as you. I'm not asking you to go and run a sample case or any sort of case that
Maybe I will.
Yeah. So what is your definitive stance on what you think human consciousness is?
All right. I think.
Looks like you're reading a lot off.
I'm just looking at these two pics and playing with them. I'm not reading anything.
Oh.
If I'm reading something, I'm looking like this because of my computer monitor's up here. But I think that it's just. I don't know, dude. It just like
A devil and an angel on your shoulder.
But the thing I don't understand about it is like, let's say it is an illusion.
I want you to understand before you even this. Do you understand why I say it's an illusion?
No, I get it. I understand why.
Tell me. I just want to make sure.
Because you say it's an illusion because everything happens so fast that you can't. You just. I don't know. I don't know why it's. I don't really.
Everything happens so fast that you can't be aware it's going on. Just like when you see something, you can't
okay.
be aware that you're seeing it. You can't be aware that your brain's seeing it and processing that because it's too fast.
It doesn't prove anything, though. It just.
Well, I mean, when you're shooting a gun and it hits a target and you don't see the bullet moving through the air, did a bullet just show up there or did it travel there? Was there a time? Was there a small amount of time?
I understand what that has to do with like.
That's
perceiving things.
That's what the thing is. That's my what? Perceiving things is an example of how your brain. But that's my.
It's because the
it
things
makes
are working
total
together
sense.
functionally doesn't mean that it proves consciousness is an illusion.
What?
Just because your brain is working properly together and communicating properly, each part is communicating properly.
Okay.
To the point where things seem like they're all happening at the same time without a delay between the process doesn't prove consciousness. It just means things are working functionally. A computer does that. It's not conscious.
No, I'm saying like. Okay, I'm saying that. Sure. You know what? Sure. I'm just gonna repeat what I've said. That's all that's gonna happen. That's about as far as I can get into that. I can't really make that any clearer. Really... My thing is that it happened like the time in between. How the time between seeing and it's in your brain knows what you're seeing. That time it took is the time it took the bullet to travel from the gun to the target.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So that time is what's responsible for seeing, like feeling like you're thinking it simultaneously. But you're not because they're happening with time in between them. Doesn't happen at the same time. You just can't perceive that quick amount of time. You can't perceive it. You can't.
You can perceive 50 milliseconds of time.
Okay, then do it. Go look at something and tell me what it feels like.
You know how I can perceive? Play a video game with 50 ping and 0 ping and you feel the difference. Right?
Okay.
So with that logic, you can perceive 50 milliseconds of time.
All right, so let's see. Your eye can perceive it, right? Your eye can see it, but that's different. That's what I mean. That's literally your eye seeing something on the screen and your brain processing it, right? But as you would, and you've even told me this before, the difference between 10 ping and 5 ping, are you going to know the difference?
No.
Nope. Are you going to know the difference between 50 ping and 10 ping? Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Right.
You're like,
yeah, but you're not going to notice the difference between very small amounts, very fast, small amounts.
But I still don't understand how that proves that. This doesn't prove anything.
Okay.
That's my
it doesn't prove anything, but you haven't really say it. I want to know why. Like, other than it doesn't prove anything.
I don't understand where you get the connection between consciousness and processing time.
Okay, well, stop trying to debunk it and try to
I'm not even trying to debunk
understand it first.
It just doesn't. It's like in my mind, the way it seems is like it's just so unrelated that that I can't really understand what you're trying to say. It's like trying to say like this cup.
I get. I understand what unrelated means. But
this glass cup is filled with water.
Okay, so you think that I'm
TV
using,
is off.
Okay, you think that when I'm talking about your brain seeing something, right? You think when I'm saying doing that is I'm using that to say it's part of consciousness, right? Is that what you think? You're not.
No, I understand.
I don't understand what you're confused on. Then if
you're
you
saying
tell me clearly,
what consciousness is the processing time. We call it the illusion of consciousness. Is the processing time that you can't comprehend, because if you could comprehend it, we would be able to think about it and say, okay, this is happening, then this is happening, then this is happening, right? But it all happens so fast, right, that you can't comprehend it. So we think that everything's happening at one time, and that's what the illusion of consciousness is. Everything happening at what we perceive is at the same time, but it's actually happening over time.
Yes.
All right, that's what you're saying.
Yeah. You want proof of this?
But-
I'll give you
you're
better proof.
But
I'll give you better proof.
The thing that I think ruins that all is you say we, as if
Yeah, we as in human consciousness.
humans, as if you.
Are you getting all social justice warrior on me because I like assumed
No,
a
no,
gender
no.
or something?
Shut the fuck up. No.
Okay.
You're saying like that we perceive, but why? Like who? Like why is there even a we to perceive? You know, it could just happen without there being that illusion.
Okay,
at all.
but
You know, it
we
could just
like
happen.
like aware of self identity is what you're talking about. Like you're knowing that
Exactly.
we went over this 3 times, dude.
But it's disconnected.
You kind of
It's
agreed with it
disconnected.
too.
You have to assume that there is-
that's for literally being like that point that I made.
you have to
earlier,
assume that you can already understand that there is a there's a you to understand it, to not understand it, to not understand that time is passing.
Yeah,
right?
we
you have to
literally
already establish
broke-
that's already there.
Yeah, we went through how you discover who you is. How do you know who you is? We went through that, and I was explaining it's because the stuff I said. I know you remember it.
Yeah,
I
because
just
it's
don't wanna
memory.
I don't want to repeat it. Like the process, you see your mirror in the mirror.
No, I understand that, but a
That's
dog sees a
you.
mirror doesn't know it's fucking him.
They don't have the same. They don't behave and react with the same.
But their
Types.
brains are still doing the same shit, but they can't. They don't.
But they're
perceive.
they're strictly limbic. Like a dog sees my leg, it wants to hump it.
They're not strictly.
They're pretty. I mean, that's a pretty limbic fucking move, dude.
But they still have prefrontal cortexes, you know.
Yeah,
it's
they
still
do,
there.
but they're not that good. So I don't get what you're
Have a
confused
headache.
about. So you're confused about that. What about I don't see.
It's assuming it's to me. It seems like the proof. I mean, the illusion for consciousness already assumes that there's an external consciousness that would explain the
I wanna-
consciousness. Like
okay,
you
let
need
me-
consciousness to explain your version of consciousness. Like it needs to already be a thing.
I
That's the
need
way I'm seeing it.
consciousness to explain my version of consciousness.
Like in
But
your
I'm saying consciousness is actually just a latency.
like your
It's a-
idea of the illusion of consciousness
yeah.
already assumes that there is consciousness. I can't really
No,
explain
I'm
it.
actually saying there really isn't. I'm saying it feels like there is. It really feels like there is, but it's because things are happening so fast that we don't know they're actually 2 different stages of a process happening. Like, for example, when you play with a monitor that has like 144 hertz, 144 frames per second, do you see every one of those frames?
No.
Are you aware of every single one of those frames that you're seeing?
No.
Or does it seem like one smooth thing? Just one,
It's one
smooth thing. Right, but if you really slowed that shit down, here's what it would look like. Flash, 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 flash. You can't see that though, right? You can't perceive that though, right? But it seems like it's one smooth flowing image. But in reality, it's just 144 individual JPEG pictures. If you just took a bunch of photos.
Well, it's not exactly that, but, I
but
get
let
the
me.
point.
I'm trying to just. It's a bunch of pictures getting shown to you all at 1 second, real fast. But you don't perceive that as a bunch of pictures. You perceive that as a very flowing, breathing, moving thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
you perceiving that as a flowing, breathing, moving thing.
But that is assuming
let me-
I'm already conscious to perceive that. Just
No,
like it's
Jake,
assuming
this
you're
is an
already
analogy.
conscious to
This is
perceive
an-
the
this is an
illusion in
analogy.
your head. I know it's an analogy, but you're assuming.
You're kind
That's
of
like
not.
you're-
It's tough when you're not letting me fucking talk and finish.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. I'm stressed. I'm so stressed.
Okay, but that's my point. Is you don't notice. You're not like you
That's-
think, Jake. You think that's flowing and breathing, right? But in reality, what is it? What in reality is it? It's a bunch of pictures thrown together, right? It's a bunch of different pictures thrown together at different times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of like consciousness. When you really look into it, it's just the shit happens so fast. It seems like another thing. Pictures 144 pictures a second happen so fast. It just seems like a smooth ass fucking I'm like breathing, flowing thing. It's not.
But that's like I'm saying is assuming there's already a you to perceive it that way. There's already an identity to perceive it like that.
So
yeah?
you can think about it. Is that
like
there's a you.
There's already a you to perceive that illusion.
There's already
so who is
you.
that you?
That you is a bunch of rapid firing neurons.
Oh, okay. So that's what you think consciousness is, with the rapid firing neurons.
I literally just spent so much time explaining what consciousness is, and I fucking make a little subtle, snarky little comment, and you go, "Oh, that's what you think it is." See, I told you.
That makes more sense than the shit you just.
Of course it does, because it's a cliche.
I mean, it makes more sense. At least
Well, it's a cliche. They're supposed to make sense.
Consciousness is fucking bullshit. That's what it is.
Makes you angry?
It's just like
consciousness makes you angry.
It activates my limbic system.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
It activates my limbic system.
You should start saying that every time you get mad on stream.
My limbic system.
The limbic system is firing on all 4 cylinders right now.
Yeah, right now. I'm about to upgrade my limbic system to a V8 after this game.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think, but I thought that was good. That was how long was that? 2 hours?
An hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
Pretty good debate.
Yeah. We gotta continue.
Wait. Oh, you want to keep going?
We'll have to continue. I want to continue it with my brother. I feel like he'd have some good shit to say.
You want to bring? Okay, you know what? I think that'd be a cool idea to have a part 2 guest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Let's make this like a series.
The consciousness series. I want to.
You want to do a consciousness series?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude! I like that.
Interesting topic.
Because it's too rich. It's too rich of a topic to even.
Wait, I can stop recording my audio, right?
Oh wait, not yet. Okay. Well, all right. It's a series, ladies. It's gonna be a series. You're gonna see more of this. So thank you for tuning in to this hot ass mess. It's called That Is Nice Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out this man's Twitch stream. If you want to see real limbic system firing on all 4 cylinders in action, check out this man's Twitch stream. It's Do Hello. He's he behaves similar to that of Child. I'm just kidding.
Like a child.
Okay. All right. So thank you. Have a good night, ladies and gents. Oh, Jake wasn't nice.
Oh, it was nice.
Hell yeah. All right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Word. Good night, everybody.